G's, no design on my jacket. Work hard and I'm changing my bracket. Talk tough, we ain't hearing that racket. Dots came in, you know how to stack it. Don't take it wrong, but I'ma need my ends though. I got tigers on my chest like Kenzo. Rail came, yeah, he putting that Benz though. Carol's here, man, you know he stay 10 toes. Big dog, man, you know I ain't worried. Bent up, so I'm talking real slurry. Got a blast, bro.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is Adam Caplan, the voice in your ears with AC Radio. We're back at it again. Jon Bones Jones is the heavyweight champion. First round submission against Vs Gane. Could you believe it? I mean, what a story right there. It was such a great lead up to the fight. Jon was calm, cool, and collected, but still anxious and excited and had a little bit of that sprinkle of fear leading up that we saw in some of the remarks in the press conferences and the UFC embeddeds and just all the content that we got. You know, listen, Jon brought back a superstardom and an energy and an excitement back into the UFC that we have absolutely been missing. You know, a 3-year layoff and then at UFC 285 at the T-Mobile Arena. If you look around at who was sitting octagon side, you know, Marky Mark, Tom Brady, Steve Will Do It, Bob Menery, all, you know, a lot of the big boys of the UFC fans and celebrities came out that night. And that's because of Jon Bones Jones, you know, and when you were watching the UFC embeddeds, you know, he just had a smooth, calm, cool collectedness to him. But at the same time, you know, you could see that Jon was there for redemption. You know, you could feel that Jon, to an extent, has perhaps learned from some of his mistakes. We hope so. And we could see that he was relishing with every moment. And, you know, I was talking to Brett before the show about how the greatest of all time, the George St. Pierres, the Khabibs, the McGregors, the Jon Jones, the Anderson Silvas, they always talk about the backstage stuff, the production, the staff, the overall running orchestra that the Ultimate Fighting Championship creates for their fighters. Jon was super appreciative and almost amazed at how much the UFC has grown in 3 years. And we don't see that from all of the roster. You know, that appreciation and that thoughtfulness into understanding what goes on behind the scenes. You know, and that, you know, orchestra is part of the reason perhaps why fighter pay isn't where it should be, because the UFC has a heck of a lot of people that they need to pay on that payroll. So, you know, let's get right into it. First of all, a lot of fans were a little bit worried because Jon Jones got a haircut on UFC embedded. We've seen it in the past where that's been a little bit of a curse, but that curse has been shattered. I love the way that Jon was looking at Vs Gane in the weigh-ins and in the press conferences. It really showed that Jon needed to size up and really feel his opponent in front of him, since he's taking on a new division in the heavyweight division. More risk, more reward. In boxing especially, the heavyweights are always the spectacle and always the most paid. And, you know, when you take Jon Jones, one of the greatest of all times, and then put him in the heavyweight division, you could bet your ass that he's pretty happy with the paycheck that he got himself cut after that performance on Saturday night. So, you know, listen, let's get right into it. First things first, Jon Jones walks out to God Gave Me Style, God Gave Me Grace by 50 Cent, and then segues to Jadakiss's The Champ Is Here. And I love that mix, you know. Absolutely still showing love, you know, to the Lord above, because he believes, and I also believe that that's the person that got him into the octagon on Saturday night. You know, I don't think that any of this happens without his belief in God, considering if you look at all the trials and tribulations that Jon has gone through, you know, and probably all of the different crews and the surrounding members that have come and go in his life, and then to see where he got on Saturday night, you know, there's a little bit more than meets the eye there. Some people could change their behaviors and change their choices, but, you know, maybe that belief got him there. But anyways, Jon Jones walks out to that, and the first thing you're hearing when the camera cuts to him is, "Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah." And there's that anxiousness. There's that excitement. There's that I'm about to jump out of a plane tone in his voice. The cadence in his breath while he was saying it was showing that Jon was feeling a lot of emotions when it came to closing out in that curtain and seeing the crowd. You know, you definitely saw just a bunch of emotions from Jon Jones. And then what did he do? The first thing he did is he prayed to God, and then you could start to see that excitement was starting to set in as he got closer and closer to the octagon. But then Jon started paying attention to the folks that were, around the octagon, and I don't like to see that. When you're a gladiator walking into the Coliseum, the last thing you need to focus on are the specific characters that are sitting in the crowd that are basically there watching you at the expense of your entertainment or of their entertainment. So I didn't like that Jon was starting to interact with the crowd, but then he went to Arthur Jones, he went to Chandler Jones, he went to Mr. Jones, and then he went to his fiance, and that's all fine and good because I think that that's always a good moment before you're about to step into the octagon and basically risk your life. So then we get to the corner where it's time to put on the Vaseline. Jon Jones thanks Brandon Gibson. He thanks Greg Jackson. He thanks his two other cornermen. And then he tries to walk up the stairs. And I'm thinking, like, hold on now, Jon, you got to put the Vaseline on. Jon gets stopped at the door. Another momentum stopper, or the first momentum stopper, we'll call it. Jon then gets the Vaseline put on. And then as he's about to go into the octagon, they look at the tape on his foot. Jon Jones, I believe, had the same big toe taped that he had brutally injured at UFC 159 against Chael Sonnen. And in that fight, Jon Jones had a fucking great first round against Chael Sonnen. And then, thankfully, the commission and the referee did not see that Jon's big toe was basically shifted 180 degrees, because if they did, Jon would have lost that night against Chael Sonnen at UFC 159. So, Jon had that big toe taped again against Ciryl Gane, but then had a little bit of tape around the top and then around the bottom of the foot. And I think that was the problem. So then they cut it off. And, in that moment, looking back, it doesn't seem like a big deal. But in that moment, it must feel like forever. You're about to step back in the octagon after a 3-year layoff, and you get stopped at the stairs for the Vaseline, fine. Then you get stopped at the stairs for the tape on the toes and the feet. You got to think for a second that all the visualization, the mental preparation, the presentation, the studying, the talking about this fight didn't play out that way, where he would get stopped at the door twice due to the Vaseline and the tape. You know what I'm saying? And those are things that could throw off the momentum and the pace of a fight. People don't understand that, because when you have something prepared in your mind to go a certain way and it doesn't go that way, it could derail things. But not against the greatest of all time, Johnny Bones Jones, because Bruce Buffer got in there, called his name. Jon rolled up them shorts and was just like, oh yeah, baby, spit my name, Bruce, and let's get it popping. And that's exactly what happened. Jon came out the gate, cutting off the ring very, very well and pressuring Ciryl Gane in a way that negated that beautiful in and out bounce of Ciryl Gane. The fact that Jon was pressuring and cutting off the ring and not using his boxing and using those kicks to the lower limbs, which I said he was going to do, he was going to feel out the range and slow down the pace of Ciryl Gane with kicks to the body, with kicks to the obliques, with kicks to the knees, and that's exactly what Jon did. And because he negated the footwork of Ciryl Gane and kind of flustered him on the feet, he forced Ciryl Gane to throw a straight left hand while he was moving backwards. And what did Jon do? He ducked under with a slick boxing slip and then paired it in with a little bit of wrestling, went around and took the back of Ciryl Gane and immediately dragged him down to the mat. And then the wild card is back into question. What is Ciryl Gane going to do when Johnny Bones Jones brings the fight to the ground? How is he going to survive? Is he going to sink or swim? Guy sunk all the way to the bottom, baby. Jon controlled him on the bottom. He even sat a little bit lower on the hips of Ciryl Gane while Gane was a little bit of in a turtle position, just to control Gane and to enforce him from not being able to stand up right away, because then Jon kind of has to redo everything he just did. So Jon was staying nice and low on the legs so that Gane couldn't get up. And he also wanted Gane to feel a 248-pound Johnny Bones Jones and not a 205-pound or a 220 by the time he gets into the octagon. He wanted Gane to feel the weight of him, along with that body lock. So he brings Gane to the cage, and then Gane makes one of those mistakes. I knew it, and I said it last episode again, that when Gane was going to be in a reluctant position with Johnny Bones Jones on top, he was going to shift himself in a position, to get himself out of one vulnerable position only to put himself in another one. And what did he do? Ciryl Gane put himself up against the cage, which maybe could have been the right opportunity. or maybe would have been the right move, but not against Jones. With the weight of Jones and the posture and the wrestling capabilities, that was not a position you wanted to be in. Johnny Bones Jones right away went for that guillotine choke. And it looked like he was going to get it, but Gane was fighting with the hand. But what did Ciryl do? Ciryl then let his right hand drop to the octagon so that he could post and switch his position and his posture a little bit. But then Jon took the moment to let go of the guillotine, only to then, rearrange it on Ciryl Gane to sink it in even deeper. That's all she wrote. Johnny Bones Jones wins in the first round by guillotine choke against Ciryl Gane, and the new heavyweight champion, two-time champ, double champ now for Johnny Bones Jones. You gotta fucking love it, man. What a performance. I love the way that he negated the footwork in Ciryl Gane by cutting him off and pressuring him. Maybe something Jake Paul should have done. Hopefully, maybe the fight should have happened in reverse. Maybe he would have learned something. Psych. But, Bones just cut off that ring well, and then the wild card showed when he brought Ciryl Gane down to the floor, Gane had nothing for him. Jones was able to posture down, in fact, negate the standing up action of Ciryl Gane, made him feel out his weight. Gane then did an irrational move. Jones looks for the guillotine. Then again, Gane shows some inexperience by, listen, man, if you got a snake around your neck and a piece of tape around your waist, what are you focusing on? The snake around your neck. And Gane reached for the tape that was on the floor when he should have kept focusing on the anaconda that was around his neck. And that was a little bit of a mistake by Ciryl Gane. Congratulations to Johnny Bones Jones, the two-time champion, light heavyweight and heavyweight champion. And I just got to say, something that Daniel Cormier did as well. And speaking of Daniel Cormier, I thought he did a phenomenal job calling the fight with Jones. I think you wouldn't have even known that they had a beef. I don't even think you would have known they had a beef for a second. DC was professional. He was candid. He showed respect and class to the winning Johnny Bones Jones. So congrats to DC as well for a great performance, not letting all of those things get to him, because let's just say if somebody would have said that Ciryl Gane wasn't walking through that curtain, and if there's anybody in the crowd right now that wants to fight him, you bet your fucking ass DC would have got up off of that commentating table and would have fought Johnny Bones Jones that night. So congrats to DC as well. I think that folks need to admire that, because they're so quick to, and even I am so quick to criticize the commentating team, but we never give them enough credit when they do a good job. And I always love the pairing of Joe Rogan, DC, and John Anik. That's my pairing right there. And what do we got next? We have Stipe Miocic in July for Johnny Bones Jones. And, this to me was a little bit weird because, Megan Olivi, she does such a great job interviewing the fighters, but she had a difficult one, as they all do, in interviewing Stipe Miocic. He was just so dismissive, so rattled at the fact that he was next up for Johnny Bones Jones. It was like, bro, why did you get invited to sit at the fight ringside? It was to help set up the next matchup. If you don't want to do the promotion, you don't want to do the jawing and the jabbering, that's fine. But the reality is you were there for a reason and a purpose, and that's to help set up the next fight in Johnny Bones Jones. And that should have been the fight that did happen instead of Ciryl Gane. So I'm kind of like, Stipe, what's with the attitude, baby? You're getting a layup here and getting to fight the greatest of all time to even help, even furthermore, solidify your legacy. And then he calls you out, sets the table for you, asks you to sit down, even orders you your first drink and your appetizer, and you're not happy about it? I'm sorry, man, but I didn't really like the reaction from Stipe Miocic. But at the same time, I understand why perhaps he's maybe not so into the whole jawing and gibbering with Johnny Bones Jones, because he has a motherfucker in Johnny Bones Jones to prepare for. And we don't know where Stipe Miocic is at in his career to be able to take on one of the greatest of all time in one of those challenges. So I'm looking forward to that fight in July. Stipe Miocic versus Johnny Bones Jones. I'm sure DC will be calling that one as well. Guy might even hit the elliptical after that fight, because he's going to be raring to probably step in there with one of them. But we're going to get a good one in July with Johnny Bones Jones and Stipe Miocic. And you know what? I would really, really love to see, and I don't think it's a possibility that it'll happen, but it would have been so great if Conor would have entered the testing pool earlier so that we could have gotten Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler. But that's not the case. And just one thing to wrap things up with it's just amazing to see now how USADA has kind of changed the picogram tolerance. Because if they would have been using the picogram tolerance or limit that Johnny Bones tested hot for a few years ago, Johnny Bones would have never tested hot. You know, kind of reminds me of the whole Reggie Bush thing. They took away Reggie Bush's titles and accolades from USC because he accepted a bribe. And now all of a sudden, all of the college players could seek out sponsorships and endorsements from everywhere. So, you know, people are saying, or maybe they already did, that they should give Reggie Bush back his accolades. And to be honest, if you're raising the limits of the picograms, then you should probably remove the blemish on Johnny Bones's legacy as well with performance-enhancing drugs. So, to me, seems as if Johnny Bones Jones is perhaps off the hook. Am I ready to call him the greatest of all time, right up above the great George St. Pierre? Maybe the Montrealer and the Canadian in me will say no for now, but definitely have him at number 2 or 1.5 or even tied for first. And it was just an exciting fight. Johnny Bones Jones brought back the entertainment, the love, and the admiration and the appreciation for the UFC, something that we've been missing out on for a long time. Just a different feel and a different flavor than Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor brings a little bit more of a plasticiness to it, whereas Jon Jones, even though he does some crazy fucked up shit outside of the octagon, always knows how to bring a very raw, real, and authentic feel to every one of his UFC fights that I absolutely love and adore. And when I mean the plasticity from Conor McGregor, I mean that there's antics. You know, there's a WWE to it, WWE-ness to it. There's a, I don't know if Conor means everything that he's actually saying ness to it. Whereas Jon Jones, it really does seem that what he pours out to us is really what he's thinking and feeling and acting on. And we just hope that he doesn't slip up again, because he truly is one of the greatest of all time. I love that fight indeed. Had a feeling that it was going to go pretty quickly if it went to the ground, over by submission, by some sort of choke or ground and pound. Didn't get to see Jon get to that ground and pound, but he certainly was able to control Gane, was certainly able to solidify why, once again, he is one of the greatest of all time. And congratulations to Johnny Bones Jones. AC Radio, baby, we're out.
Big cheese, no design on my jacket. Work hard and I'm changing my bracket. Talk tough, we ain't hear that racket. Dogs came in, you know how to stack it. Don't take it wrong, but I'ma need my ends though. I got tigers on my chest like Kenzo. Rail came, yeah, he putting that Benz though. Carol's here, man, you know he stay 10 toes. Big dog, man, you know I ain't worried. Bent up, so I'm talking real slow.